Welcome to the Fashionista Life podcast. I'm your host, Jennifer Johnson. If you found yourself here, it may mean that you're looking for courage, clarity, or maybe confidence in some part of your life. Or maybe you just want to be entertained, and that is great as well. Let's go ahead and get started. Today, I welcome into the studio attorney Lauren Hussey. Hello,
Hi,
Lauren.
thank you for having me.
I met you like 5 or 6 years
Was it
ago.
that long ago? Oh my
I know,
gosh.
right?
Wow.
Or
Yeah, it
probably even
was because it was
longer.
before Hurricane Irma, and
It
that was
was.
about 5 years. So,
Yes.
wow.
And so Lauren is actually a hurricane. I can correct me if I'm wrong. Hurricane attorney.
Well,
You're more than
it's
that.
first party property insurance, but when hurricanes hit, all my claims, all my cases end up being hurricane claims, especially like after this storm. So you can call me a hurricane attorney. I don't think that's a real area of
It's
law,
probably not, but
but it's a property insurance, first party. So I represent the policyholders.
And in Florida.
In the state of Florida. Yeah,
In
I'm
the
only
state of
licensed
Florida.
in the state of Florida. Yeah.
And so catastrophic hurricanes and storms and things like that. You've represented thousands of people across Florida from anywhere in Florida, really even
Yep.
down to the Keys, right?
Yep.
And up to the Panhandle, and you have recovered millions of dollars of insurance claims for Florida homeowners and commercial buildings and businesses and condo associations and all of that.
Right.
So, what brought you to law, and what brought you to this type of law?
Law, I was always interested in law. Even as a little girl, it's really strange, but I wanted to be not this area. I wanted to do prosecution, specifically crimes against children. And I went to law school for that. But I realized very quickly after some internships at prosecutors' offices and everything that I was not cut out for that. Is just heart-wrenching.
Can't even imagine, right?
Yeah. So this kind of fell in my lap a few years ago. Well, not a few, like 6 years ago. And I never would have thought in a million years insurance law. I mean, how boring does that sound? Insurance law. I really am interested. What I really love, is criminal law. I watch all the criminal docu-series. Oh my gosh, I love criminal law. But like I said, I'm not cut out for all of that. And insurance was just something that I realized there was a very strong need for it in Southwest Florida, and just I'm from Naples originally,
which is hard to find. Not a lot of people are.
I know there are a few of us, but and I grew up with hurricanes, and they're just such catastrophic national disasters that I realized that someone needs to represent the policyholder. The insurance companies make billions and billions of dollars.
They do.
And the little people, that's what it is. You're going up against these big corporations, and they need an attorney on their side. And I just found that, there was a need, and I enjoyed it. And so I went all in, and I've represented quite a few people, all the way up in the Panhandle, all the way down to the Keys.
Wow.
And I stay in Florida just because that's where I'm licensed. And for some reason, the last few years, it's like we're getting bombarded here in my hometown.
Right.
And I've always had the plan of wherever the storm goes, if there's a big one, I'll go to that area. Like for Hurricane Michael up in the Panhandle, I went there. But for the last 2 storms, I haven't had to go anywhere. It's in my own backyard. And, there's so many people doing this now, but, I really have a passion for being in my community, staying local, and trying to assist the people here. So it's been good in that sense, but it's been horrible for what it's done to the local community.
And you said local, and there's a lot to be said about working with somebody who is local.
Yeah.
And you have a vested interest in your town.
Absolutely.
I think of like and not that there's anything bad with, roofing companies or whatever coming in from out of state to help and all of that, and not just picking on roofers, but any kind of construction.
Storm chasers,
right. But an attorney.
Yeah. Right? And there are attorneys that are coming from all
Storm
over,
chasers.
even other states. Yes. And they're getting their license here, and they're going to the area of the storm. I'm not going to, say anything about too much about that, but I can say, yes, 100%. I have an interest in building back up the community because I live here.
And that's important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Our listeners should understand how important that is, because would you rather have the accountability be a face that's part of your community, and they're accountable not just to you, but to the community in which you live, because they're part of that community too.
Yeah. And I have hurricane damage on my home. So I actually understand what people are going through. And, my favorite restaurants are destroyed. And, But yeah, so
Well, let's talk about 5 things
mhm,
that we should all do before a hurricane actually hits us. Because, and in another podcast, we're going to talk about the things that we need to do after.
right.
But what can we do before to prepare for something like this?
Right. So you hear about all the, go get your water, get your
Mhm.
canned food and everything like that. But there are things specifically insurance wise that you should do. First, you want to document all your contents with photographs and an inventory list room by room. And I know that, some people think, oh my gosh, but I have so many things. Then just do the most valuable assets
Mhm.
that you have. But try to take a picture of everything. Try to take documentation of like the actual building and the state that it's in before, because a lot of times what I see is the insurance company saying, well, you have no proof that you owned this content, or we think that this, especially with this storm that just passed,
Mhm.
they're going to be saying, well, that's all due to the previous storm, that new damage. It's not new damage, it's old damage,
Right.
pre-existing. So definitely document everything. Another one, number two, I would say, is save receipts when you do purchase like big ticket items,
Okay.
whether it be TV, expensive couch. Just have receipts for that, because I've been seeing a lot of people be, underpaid on their
Mhm.
contents, and they have no proof of what they paid, right? And the insurance company's like, oh, well, we found this similar one on Amazon and we'll give you that price. And they're like, this is a $4,000
Right.
couch. It's nothing like this $200 couch on Amazon.
Mhm.
So have your receipts, keep those.
So going back to the documenting,
Mhm.
you said doing photographs. Would it be better to take video and photographs, or is that
Absolutely.
overkill?
No, you can do, there's no such thing as overkill. The more
Right.
the more documentation you have, the better. So yeah, videos, photographs, and just keeping a log, in an Excel spreadsheet of like, okay, here's all my items.
Mhm.
Here's, just even just like a approximate amount of like, okay, I have this much in clothing, and
Oh, good
some of the
lord.
I know.
How the heck am I
I
supposed to do
know, I
that?
know, but
Think about it,
I know, but I've seen
right?
so many people that, I have a client right now who they lost everything because of flood. They lost
Mhm.
all their clothes and they want to replace it with, $20 t-shirts and their
Yeah.
designer stuff. So
Mhm.
if you can, take photographs if you don't have the receipts. But just try to document as much as
Okay.
you have. Another tip I would say before a hurricane hits would be, if you have unrepaired damage from a previous storm, which is like Ian, make sure you're doing everything in your power to mitigate future damage. So, for example, your roof is damaged in Ian. You know that there's missing shingles or
Mhm.
tiles are cracked, but you haven't been able to get a roofer out in time. Now we're coming up on next hurricane season. Make sure you've got a tarp on it, because even if you're still waiting on that insurance payout from Ian, which a lot of people are going to be,
Oh, for sure.
they're going to try to blame any additional damage on you and say that because there's a policy
Because you were
language
negligent.
where it's, yeah, you failed to mitigate. You have duties under your policy, and one of them in every policy states that you have a duty to mitigate, make sure your damages don't get worse. Well, if we're going into another
Mhm.
hurricane season, we get another storm that's going to add that to the mix,
Right.
and you weren't protecting your home, and you knew that there was like a cracked window and water could come in, and you didn't do anything to try to prevent that from happening, it can affect not only your old
Right.
claim, but any new claim that you would make as well. So
The
do that.
insurance companies always find a loophole. They always
I know.
find something.
I know, because they don't want to pay. They want to make
Right.
money. They're in the business of
Mhm.
making money, not paying out
And
money.
they've lost a lot of money on Florida
Billions
in the
and billions
last.
of dollars. Yeah. And so that's, you just gotta watch out,
Mhm.
and a lot of people, they think, well, no, my insurance company, I trust my insurance company. And that might be true. Some insurance companies are great. And but there's a lot that aren't paying people. And if you ask all of my clients, they'd say, oh my gosh, I pay all this premiums every year on time, and I've never filed a claim in 25 years. And
Mhm.
the one time I do, I'm being underpaid and I can't even fix my home. And
Right.
it's terrible. It's
So,
terrible.
and I know we're kind of going off topic,
Mhm.
which, happens. But so somebody gets their insurance policy canceled.
Mhm.
Is there anything you can do with that? Or is that
I
not
Yeah, I mean, if your insurance after the storm, you're saying
correct?
after Ian,
Mhm.
yeah, I've been seeing that a lot. They'll
Yeah.
underpay or they'll deny, and then they just non-renew.
Mhm.
It depends, if they're non-renewing because they're going bankrupt, they're going insolvent,
How would you know that?
they're going to send you a letter.
Oh,
So like UPC just
okay.
recently is gone insolvent, but it's their prerogative if they want to insure you or not. Now, if they didn't pay you and they dropped you, you could have a situation on your hands of bad faith,
Mhm.
involved. Just depends on all the facts of the case. Every case is different, but that may be something, that I would pursue, on behalf of the client of, not only did
Mhm.
you underpay my client, but according to this statute, you violated it. You also
Yeah.
dropped him. You did this, you did that. So that's a way to kind of handle that. But in a lot of situations, I mean, if you're, if you're dropped and you just got to find another carrier. But the problem is if you don't have your repairs fit,
Right.
if you don't have your house back up in good order, good luck getting
Mhm.
another insurance company to insure you. You've got to fix the damages before an insurance company will insure you, or they'll exclude it. Like they'll exclude the roof completely, or,
Oh, wow.
So yeah, we're seeing a lot of that,
And
unfortunately.
rates have gone up.
I
Everybody's
know.
talking about
I
how high they've
know.
gone
And
because
apparently they passed all these bills back in December and they said, oh, that's going to help. It's going to help the premiums come down. But I don't know if that's
Mhm.
true. I don't know. We'll see.
Wow.
Yeah.
So we did one document to save receipts.
Hmm. Definitely. You want to just read your policy. A lot of people don't read it. They just get whatever is given to them by the agent and they sign it.
Mhm.
I would read your policy. Make sure that you have the proper policy limits. If you look at your contents and your contents are only 50,000 and you say, wait a minute, I've got at least
Mhm.
200,000 in contents. You need to talk with your agent. You need to get that, raised. It's probably going to cost a little bit
Mhm.
more, but at least you'll have the peace of mind knowing, okay, if I lose everything, I can go after the right amount. So make sure that your limits are, correct. If you need to add coverage on something, you need to speak with your agent immediately. Don't wait until there's a storm on the horizon.
That's what happens,
I
right?
know.
Then we all run scared and,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, I have to
And
do
make sure I
this."
have all my
Then
insurance.
it's
No, do
a
it
lot of times
now.
too late.
Do it now. Yeah. Do it now. Um,
Was that number 3?
yeah, I
Was
think we're all over the place.
I know.
I think one, two, three.
I'm like,
Yeah, yeah. I
going
mean,
sideways.
I know. And the last one I would say, which I think it might be number 6, I'm not sure. If you haven't been paid by next hurricane season, you really should hire an attorney by now. And I'm not just saying that because I'm an attorney. It's you have the statute of limitations, you've got to have your claim filed within the first year. So it's
Okay.
September 28th, 2024.
For for Ian.
Yes, for Ian. So if you haven't been paid by that date, um, what are you waiting for at
Mhm.
this point? You need to hire someone, and do that because, if next hurricane season comes and God forbid, knock on wood,
I hope
we
yeah.
get another storm, even a tropical storm. I mean, that's
Mhm.
going to wreak havoc on people whose roofs aren't fixed.
Absolutely.
Right now we have storm
Mhm.
coming today that I'm worried about my clients who have tarps and
Mhm.
who don't have tarps. I'm telling them you need to get a tarp on there. But basically, as an attorney, if I'm going to step in and assist you when you need my help, I need to get my experts out to the home. I've got roof experts, I've got mold experts, contents experts, I've got structural engineers. I need to get them out to inspect prior to the next hurricane
Mhm.
hitting, because I need to be able to see. So if you're thinking, okay, I haven't been paid, I'm tired of this, I can't fight this anymore, I need a counsel on this. I want to get out there before next hurricane season, before there's another storm that's going to make its own damages. And then we've got to figure out what caused what. And
Right.
if I have it already documented with my experts as to what the Ian damage was, that's going to make things much, much easier. So,
That's a great tip. Is your closet overflowing, or maybe your kids' closets are as well? Or maybe you just want to redecorate your home. If you're wondering what to do with all that stuff that you've accumulated, bring it all to True Fashionistas or even ship it to them for free and they'll sell your unwanted items for you. They take away all the hassle by doing all the work, and all you have to do is sit back and collect your money. You can reach out to them online at truefashionistas.com, come into the store, or check them out on Facebook or Instagram, and that's truefashionistas.com. Welcome back, friends. We are in studio today with Lauren Hussey, who is an attorney, and she specializes in property insurance. And we're talking about hurricanes and things that we really need to shore up and do before we head into another hurricane season. And at this point, we're already in hurricane season. What else should we be doing?
you know, you like I said before, you need to make sure that you have everything documented prior to the storm. You need to make sure that you know your policy, you have all of your previous storm damage repaired or at least mitigated. And then if you're still struggling, hire an attorney. But that's kind of what you should really
Right,
do.
absolutely. So, what is like the number one question that you get people asking you? I know you've been on the radio and you've done a few things after some of our big storms here in Florida, but but at what point, I guess I feel like the number one question, and I don't know if it is or not, like why do I need an attorney or how do I know if I need somebody?
Well, if you've been denied, you're not being given anything, and you have a substantial amount of damage, it's above your deductible, or you've been underpaid to the point of
Mhm.
you've got these damages and you can't even make repairs to it because the money they've given you is not enough. You really need to hire an attorney. A lot of people do ask me, well, you know, why should I hire an attorney? Why not just go with a public adjuster? They're cheaper. They only
Mhm.
take a 10% contingency fee. Um, and public adjusters are fine if your damages aren't that significant. Right after the storm, they come in and they'll do a assessment of everything and they'll put it into a report, an Xactimate report. But after that point, there's really nothing that they do that you can't do yourself. I mean, they're really just negotiating with the insurance company. They take that report and they say, "Here's what we believe the damages are," and
Mhm.
they just start negotiating. What I'm finding now at this point, and we're quite a few months
Mhm.
after Hurricane Ian, is that basically, I mean, they're having to call me. The public
Right.
adjusters are saying, "Look, we need you to step in because the insurance company is not paying us either." And at that point, unfortunately for the policyholder, they have to still pay that public adjuster, even though
Right.
they weren't successful in getting any money or they got a small amount of money, but not enough.
It's a
So,
double whammy.
right. Whereas you could have just gone to an attorney in the first place.
Mhm.
Obviously, attorneys can file lawsuits and we can pursue bad faith, but there's a lot of benefits. We have all the experts ready to go. If you don't know what your damages are, that's something that
Mhm.
we're going to find out for you with our
Right.
experts, and we're going to upfront all those costs and everything. But we only, as attorneys, get our fees paid for if we win you money. And a lot of times there is the abilities, even with these new bills that passed,
Mhm.
for us to have all of our fees paid for by the insurance company. So that's
Wow.
always our goal. So
Mhm.
it doesn't come out of the policyholder's
Right.
pocket. They can get the full amount that they need to repair. Yes, it could take some time,
Mhm.
but in the end, if you're not being paid, what do you have to lose?
Right.
So that's kind of it.
So if somebody had they went the route of hiring a public adjuster, they could still hire you.
Mhm.
I mean, that would probably not would that make sense to have both on your team?
Yeah. I mean, at this point, you know whether or not your public adjuster is going to be able to get you the amount of money, I
Mhm.
mean, that you need.
But let's say right out
Mhm,
of the gate,
mhm.
you're like, "I want a public
Oh,
adjuster
right
and
after
an
the
attorney."
storm?
Like, should you do
Well,
that?
no,
That's
there's
no
no
need.
reason to, because I have adjusters or estimators that I hire
That do the same
that
thing.
do the same thing. So there's really no need to hire another person to take a percentage of your claim
Mhm.
when that comes with my services. I've got to figure out when I get involved in a case, all right, what's damaged? How much is it going to cost to fix it? And then we go after that amount of money.
Mhm.
So no, there's no point to hire both,
Right.
but if you already did hire a public adjuster, I can still assist you.
Right. Okay. And you said after a hurricane, and I know we're gonna do another whole podcast of what happens after a
Right.
hurricane and what I should be doing, but um, how long do you have to file a claim? To I
For Ian, it's the 1 year mark.
but
So
for any storm like that, is
It
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 usually?
varies, it
Oh,
varies, so
really?
it really just depends. Yeah, so it's for Ian, it's 1 year from the date of the storm, so September 28th, 2024 is the date.
Mhm.
So you need to make sure that you filed a claim, and a lot of people, you would think that everyone, you see damage, you file, but a lot of people don't. They think, "Oh, well, it doesn't look that bad, and my deductible's so high, it's just gonna be under my
Mhm.
deductible anyways," or they're scared to file a claim because 'cause they're
Uh-huh.
like, "Oh, my insurance company is gonna
Right.
drop me."
Yes.
But what do you have insurance for?
Right.
And you might not know the extent of your damages. If you think, oh, I only have a couple shingles missing, okay, let's see what rainy season brings. If you start noticing a
Exactly.
stain on your ceiling and you got to go in the attic, you got to look. And if you really truly don't think your damages are significant enough to file a claim, which technically you're supposed to, under your policy, it states that you must notify your insurance company, even if you think your damages are below deductible. If you have
Oh.
damages, you're supposed to notify your insurance company.
Could that null and void your policy if you don't
They
I
could
mean
use it. They could use it against you, like, oh, you didn't file a claim and you should have filed it. Yeah, anything
Mhm.
that policy is a contract, right? So
Mhm.
there's responsibilities that you have as a policyholder, and there's responsibilities that they have as you know. But if you do anything that is not according to, like, giving notice, for example, this is a big one.
Oh,
You have to give them notice if you plan to make all your repairs. You have to let them know, hey, I even if you don't receive money from them, you need to let them
really?
know that you plan on making repairs, because they will say later on, if you end up having to, go after them in any way, well, we were prejudiced by the fact that you made repairs and you didn't give us a chance to come out and reinspect.
Oh my
Yeah, so you
gosh.
gotta give notice. That's one of the things I know we were gonna talk about, the 5
Mhm.
things to do before a hurricane is to assess your damage, document it with photos and video, call in your claim as soon as possible, and make sure you're mitigating those damages like we talked about before. You wanna have a tarp where,
Mhm.
if you have a leak. The third would be meet your insurance adjuster at the home and show them all the damage. Do not throw away. This is a huge one. And so many people did this after Hurricane Ian. They threw away all their contents before the adjusters were even out to the home,
Mhm.
because it took the adjusters
Right.
weeks. I mean, it
Yeah.
was just the damage was insane. So don't do that, because you're not going to have it covered if you have no proof that it even
Right.
existed,
And
right?
so in the next podcast, I can't wait to sit down and go through
Mhm.
like totally
Yeah.
and I know what you're talking about
Yeah.
because I had friends who did that.
Yeah. Yeah, they
So,
threw away everything.
yeah.
Yeah, it's hard, to
So
be able
it,
for me to be able to get you coverage when I have
right.
no proof that these
You
things
just
existed.
really before a hurricane strikes, it should be on your calendar.
Mhm.
Like May 1
Yeah.
or whatever that is.
Yeah.
Just like when they tell you go in and get your water
Right.
and all of your canned goods and all of your things that you need to do to survive
Yep.
after a hurricane,
Right.
this should be
Insurance, yeah.
right there with it.
It should 100%.
Every year, just
Yeah.
review it.
Review it, look at it, talk to your agent if there's anything that you have questions
Mhm.
on. Just being prepared before you even make that claim, if you have to make it, is going to be such a help.
Yeah. Wow. There's so much to learn. Wow. Who would ever
Yeah,
think?
it's usually very boring stuff, but considering it affects all of us down here,
All the
it's
time.
all the
I mean,
time.
we went 5 years and normally
Mhm.
I remember when I moved here, they're like, "Oh, maybe every 10 years you'll get a tropical storm."
Yeah.
And then in 2017, we were hit by Irma and
Wow.
now
It's been a
recently
rough
Ian.
past,
Wow.
yeah, it's been a lot. I grew up here, so I remember Hurricane Andrew back in the
Oh, that was
day
a
and
bad
all the
one.
different
Yeah.
storms, but nothing can compare to what we experienced in
Yeah.
Ian. Nothing.
It's pretty amazing.
Nothing.
It's pretty amazing. So, Lauren, if our audience would like to reach out to you, how can they do that?
Yeah, if they'd like to speak with me regarding their insurance claim, we'd be happy to answer any questions. They can reach me either by phone at 239-888-6710 or through my website at yourstormattorney.com, yourstormattorney.com.
I love that
Yeah.
URL.
Yeah.
That's a great one.
Yeah.
I love it.
Mhm.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you.
And thank you, all of my friends, for joining me here and every week on The Fashionista Life, brought to you by True Fashionistas. If you want a deeper dive, head to my website, thefashionistalife.com, to sign up for my weekly newsletters where we take a deeper dive each week into a new topic. Have a fabulous day.